Hey Bran, it's Bran Pope here. Would you like to try this anti-tunnel juice? I made it myself.
Oh, yeah, sure. Oh my gosh. Oh God, that tastes awful.
Oh, really? Are you sure?
Yeah, man, that's disgusting.
Okay. We'll see about that.
One day later.
Hey, I know you hated the anti-tunnel juice, but I changed up the formula a little bit. See if you like it this time.
Are you kidding, dude? That was so disgusting last time. I think I'm good.
Oh, but it's totally different this time. You should totally try it again.
Fine, whatever, I'll try it again. Oh my gosh, that's revolting. I think that was worse than last time. What did you do?
Ugh, Bran, I thought you were really this open-minded guy who loved testing new things. How could you feel this way?
Because it's gross. It was bad the first time, and this is basically the same thing except slightly different. It's still just bad, so stop making me try this. No. No.
Well, I could just change it again and see if you like it.
Get out.
Okay, fine. Sheesh, you don't need to bring the tier 3 out. I wish Bran and everybody else knew just how important testing was.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another commentary video. And another dev stream is upon us, and considering how the last dev stream went and the coinciding PTB with it, we can pretty much say that that was a failure collectively, and you can see that in my previous 2 videos that we talked about that. So this dev stream was pretty crucial because this could either set the record straight or take us even deeper down the rabbit hole. So which was it? The short answer is that it was kind of a mixed bag. It airs more on the side of positive though, which I am happy to report. If I had to give it a rating with 10 being the best news ever and 1 being absolute dog water, I think this dev stream was like a 6-ish. It's a step in the right direction, but as we've seen before from Behavior, there's been many "we hear you, we're doing better now" statements just to immediately relapse after, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. But for those of you who want a long answer in more detail, let's go ahead and get started, and I have many messages straight for Behavior directly to them in this, so let's not waste any more time. Previously to my last video, I want to start on the positives, and there's a lot more in this one than the last one, thankfully, but the most obvious thing that I want to say straight ahead is keep doing these dev streams. I like having these. Even the last one that was kind of a doozy, not only introducing a lot of negative changes, but also kind of showed that you guys didn't really know how your game works, especially when you made that comment of, man, why does Gideon's have more slugging? Pallets? I guess you guys really like pallets. No, it's because there's more pallets to go down under, which makes it a lose-lose situation if there are other survivors around, because the killer cannot pick up the survivor if there are multiple survivors around and they're down under a pallet, because it's just a pallet save. So with a lot of pallets and high pallet count on Gideon's, it's easier to have those situations where you can go for pallet saves, which results in more slugging. If you played your own game, or at least talked consistently and took the input of your consultant seriously, you would know that. But aside from stuff like that, I do like having this direct line of communication with you, and I do appreciate it, so please keep doing these. Another positive is that they did say that more bugs are being fixed. I believe Pope said there's going to be twice the amount of bug fixes that we saw in the last patch, so that's good. But I do want to add the caveat here that this should have been the main focus of the last PTB, and I think that's what added to a lot of the frustration, is because you directly told us that the reason we were pushing back the chapter that was supposed to come out this fall is because you wanted to push it back so you can do a bunch of bug fixes, because 2025 has been probably the worst year of game health this game has had in recent memory, and I think a lot of us are playing characters like Xenomorph, like Deathslinger, like Huntress, etc. that are Dracula, Plague, another great example, characters who need desperate R&R, desperate rest and relaxation, and these bug fixes to make them feel good to play again. It is extremely frustrating to have games go from wins to losses because of serious bugs, and often serious bugs that have been there for years. And it's just like now that they are decaying to a point where we're almost getting to a point of no return, where people are actively not playing certain characters because they have become so buggy. And that's not all. There's a lot of visual bugs, map bugs. You got that gen bug that, gens will pop and you won't see the bubble of where they went off, which affects both killer and survivor. There's a lot wrong with the game right now. So while the changes are bad and there's a lot of very natural and realistic emotions that are not positive going towards them, it is also further intensified by the fact that you said this would be our bug fix chapter, and instead you're forcing through massive gameplay changes while a lot of the game is falling apart in the background. So I think that amplified the frustration. Speaking of that, I do have good news to report that the anti-tunnel and the anti-slug changes are not going through live, which is excellent. These were shown to be very, very exploitable and something that it didn't account for certain characters. Looking at you, Twins and Oni, plenty of killers like Ghostface and Trapper weren't even benefiting from the good boy hooks and not tunneling, even though they're the ones that need it the most. I could go through a lot of the reasons why the previous changes were really bad, but I have 2 videos on that so far, so I'm not going to do that. But even the devs themselves said the feedback was almost entirely negative on these, so it's good that they're not going through. I will say the anti-camp is still staying to some extent, but it is only the fact that survivors can now see the resolve meter, which is the how close am I to unhooking myself meter on the HUD, which was the part of that I didn't hate and I didn't think was bad. So that's fine, that can stay there, but the range is still going to be 60 meters. It's not going to be buffed to 20 like it was before, so that is great. Now, this is my first direct message straight to Behavior, specifically to Eric Pope, because I think you've always been a very, very chill individual, and I can see that you do a great job doing the community stuff for Behavior. So since you like feedback so much by your own admission that you said a lot in this stream, I want to give you my direct, honest feedback on why people are mad at you for the PTB is for testing thing, and that, oh, I will die on this hill thing that agitates so many people. The reason people get mad at you for saying that is not because testing is bad. I don't think anybody is saying that testing in the PTB is a bad thing. And if they are, they are outliers and you should not listen to them. The problem with saying the PTB is for testing, guys, we have to test things, is that we have tested Basekit Unbreakable 3 times. We have tested on Basekit Unbreakable 3 times at this point, and every single time we have said, no, this creates problems, and you still haven't accounted for all variables every single time we have tested this. And this is the 2nd time that we have tested aggressive anti-tunnel, and this one came back to back with the last one from the Crosshair chapter. The problem is not that we have an issue with testing things in the PTB, it's that we have tested this over and over and over and over again. We keep saying no. I know the skits at the beginning of the video are mostly just for humor and entertainment to make, light of otherwise a mostly negative video that's coming after it. But I mean, it's right, isn't it? You can't keep saying that, guys, we really got to test stuff. It's like we did. We have already tested this. We already didn't like it. We already said no. And you can't just take it into the back, change it up a little bit, represent it to us and go, oh, well, now we got to test it again. For those of you who don't know my background before I got into the whole content creation streaming thing, is that I was a teacher for 4.5 years, high school level social studies. And this reminds me of some of my students that I would have. They would get the wrong answer on a question. And I go, okay, well, that answer is incorrect. Go take a crack at it again and come back to me. And instead of actually changing the answer, they would just go in, change their wording a little bit, and then bring it back to me with the same wrong answer. And I would go, okay, well, you changed the wording a little bit, but the answer is still wrong. Go try again. And they would keep doing it. I'm like, okay, you gotta find the right answer here. You can't just keep changing things up a bit and pretending they're oh, well, now it's fine. You actually have to put in the work to do something different. And this is what this reminds me of, because you can't say, oh, well, it's for testing, guys, we got to test. It's well, you keep testing things we've already tested and we have already found are things that are not healthy for the game. That is what people's gripe are. They're not mad at testing things in the PTB. They're mad at testing things multiple times and ignoring the feedback and just assuming that if I change things a little bit, maybe it'll be fine. That's the attitude that frustrates us. It has nothing to do with testing things in the PTB. And I don't mean this in any negative or harshly critical way. I'm legitimately trying to answer your question and confusion on why people are so upset and frustrated. We don't like testing things multiple times when we've already said no to them. That's what it is. One thing I do want to say before we move on from the whole anti-tunnel and anti-slug thing is they're not abandoning everything entirely. Basekit anti-tunnel is going up by 5 seconds for both the Basekit endurance and haste. So just be on the lookout for that you will have to like be more aware of that and count a little bit longer if somebody's trying to use those things aggressively in your face. And now I get to probably like the most positive part of this dev stream is that behavior's actually listening, which is considering our 2025 track record, I'm pleasantly surprised. They have flipped the script and are now saying that the new player experience is the problem, not the survivor role needing blanket buffs. It's like a lot of us have been saying this all year, and finally they said it themselves on the dev stream. They are going to be doing this mostly in 2 ways. They're going to be adjusting MMR to more accurately track what a win means, something that has been a criticism of the MMR system since it's come out. And they're going to be improving the way at which they teach new players to play the game. I assume this means improving the tutorials and such. This is also something we have been saying for years, and they are saying it themselves finally. I think it's really sad in a weird sense that this feels alien to like, you know, hear behavior listing to us, but like it really does feel completely different from their approach that has been happening for like roughly the last year of like, oh, just like blanket buff, blanket buff, blanket buff. And hopefully that'll make people wanting to quit, people that are quitting, or people that are new and not enjoying the game. Maybe if we just blanket buff everything, it'll just be fine. We have tested that. We have tried that. It is clearly not working. People are still quitting over the tiniest things. It doesn't matter how strong they are. That's just what they're going to do. So trying to make it to where the right people are facing the right people of the same skill level and making sure players that are new to DBD actually know how the game is played instead of just, you know, running into these things and harshly having to figure out themselves is a core issue of the game. And if they do a good job of actually tackling this, that will solve a lot of issues. So thank you for finally listening to the community. Thank you for finally taking this seriously and giving, at least until we know the specifics, at least in theory, giving the right solution to the problem instead of doing something else that doesn't really fix the issue. In terms of I know another thing that was like kind of controversial about the last PTB is that all the perk changes that were coming through, almost all of those are being reverted. Unfortunately, Off the Record is back to being really good again with 40 seconds of endurance, which is, I thought we learned that having a massive amount of endurance is kind of rough, but I guess we'll just have to keep an eye on that, huh? Wicked and Breakdown are being reverted, but they said they didn't have enough time to put that into the release patch that's coming through. If you weren't cued into what was happening in the PTB, people were using the combo of Wicked Resurgence to hop off hook in basement and be fully healed, literally instantly off the hook, which was egregiously overpowered. So we're not going to have to worry about that on live, thankfully. Also, another minor thing, the Skull Merchant changes are going through that give her some buffs. The drone undetectable will now proc on drone recall instead of placement, and the duration is being buffed back to normal, which is great. Once again, I made this joke in the last video, but I love when Skull Merchant gets some love and then like Pixel Bush and other like niche like Skull Merchant creators like, yes, because like Skull Merchant and Trickster historically have not been treated well by behavior. So they're kind of like really like begging for scraps all the time to get their character to have some positive attention. So it's really nice to see those people that have traditionally been just kind of like hoping for anything actually get some good news. Speaking of good news, Pinhead is not found dead in a ditch. They reverted the change that Pinhead's chains would not work on survivors that have endurance. Like I criticized rightfully so in the last video, there's so many things in this game that give endurance. They literally give out endurance like hotcakes. Like they give it out for free. There's so many perks, Basekit abilities that give endurance. So to shut down an entire character's power based on a very common stats effect does not make any sense. So they listened to that and they reverted it, which is really nice. Original Pain is still a redundant add-on though, so that kind of sucks, but hey, at least you can play the character. On the opposite end, things that are not being changed are the Medkit add-on changes. Those are still going through. I'm very happy that Styptic is going away. Every single time there's a really overpowered thing that gets adjusted to a more fair form, I always run into it like non-stop in my 4v1 games going into that update. And man, the free endurance for literally nothing besides bringing a medkit almost every game, ooh, I cannot wait for it to go away. It's always been frustrating, but like now that it's happening in mass because people want to, you know, use it up before the ability goes away. Oh, it's been frustrating, so I cannot wait for that to be gone. Syringe is still going to be really strong. I mentioned this in my last videos. They switched it from being a insert and then full heal to a instant exhaustion removal, which is still incredibly strong and kind of is just more of a side grade than an actual like nerf. So it's still going to be problematic, but I guess we'll have to keep an eye on that. Even more good news, Autohaven is not SNOT green anymore. You remember in the PTB, they applied the Fallen Refuge SNOT filter, or as they eloquently put it on the stream, the piss filter, that makes everything gross and yellow. It kind of looks like he sneezed all over your monitor. It was disgusting. But now we have more of the trademark deep, like bluish green that Autohaven is known for. So that's really great, because that did not look good. Pallet density is unfortunately not being reverted, but they are trying to make it more fair. The big thing I liked that they talked about was removing pallet chainability as a focus. If you don't know what pallet chainability is, it's the idea that survivors, who you typically through skill, are able to look at the resources available around them and know how to connect them together to make longer chases. Like, I have a path pallet here, but I see a window over there. So while looping this path pallet, I'm already planning to go into that window and leave this tile. With one of the big things with the pallet density update is it kind of made that survivor skill expression basically just autopilot, because there are so many pallets around that chainability is essentially just free. You don't have to think, you don't have to pre-plan, because odds are if you truck a pallet and you try to leave, there's usually 2 or 3 around. So the fact that they're trying to, cut down on that does make me happy. I am sad that they didn't go with like, hey, we tried this and it didn't work, but hopefully they can get it to a sweet spot that makes both sides happy. I did find, sadly, that there was a kind of a distinct absence of the way that behavior has been seemingly omitting the killer pain points that they, even through their own roadmap, admitted that they wanted to address at a certain point. I was really hoping to see something in this dev stream that's like, yeah, we've heard you guys about how most of the uninstall questions have nothing to do with killer complaints. There was only one. So we want to try and more hear you guys out. There was basically none of that at all in the stream. And you guys know, if this is your this is the 3rd video that we have tried to bring this up, but I have asked people, why are killer mains quitting this game? And you guys thankfully have left hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments on both those videos, which I appreciate so much. There are so many. I was really good about reading all of them on the first one. The second one, it kind of got unwieldy, but I did do my best to try and read all of them. But you yourself, Eric Pope, said that you like feedback. You like seeing feedback so the dev team knows what to do. I have the initial dev stream video that has hundreds and hundreds of comments on why people are quitting killer. I have the previous video on the PTB that also has hundreds and hundreds of comments on why people are quitting on the killer end. And if you want to do it in this video too, I'm not going to force you, because we've gone to this well too many times, I feel like. But if you want to put the reasons that you're quitting down there for that feedback again, you're more than welcome to, because I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm not trying to do this just for the sake of entertainment, but like they just legitimately a good resource. If you look into the comments and see why people are quitting, there's legitimately a lot of good information in there on why a lot of killer players are being disenfranchised from playing the game right now. So I encourage you, if you're somebody at Behavior watching this, to take a look at that so you can see if you want to address those points, that those are there for you. I know you guys really, 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 really love your data. And as somebody who had to work with data when I taught my economics class when I was a teacher, the way you guys interpret data is a little strange. It's not, you interpret it a very, very interesting way that is a little bit too on the nose and not so much kind of thinking about the reasons why the data exists. So I would very deeply encourage you to take a look at these killer main, either taking a break, quitting, uninstalling comments that have been in the last 2 videos, and maybe on this one if they choose to do so again on this video, because I want you to be able to use that, add that to your data, because usually you guys have been really, really excellent with these. You guys have been not just being like, oh, well, I quit because of X change, but you're also like, I quit because of pallet density because I play Ghostface and I don't have an anti-chase ability. So it's really difficult when I finally mark someone and then they just have 3 pallets that they can safely throw and wait out the exposed. Like, you guys would go really in depth, which I think is really good information for behavior. So I really appreciate you guys doing that. So yeah, take a look at that if you enjoy feedback, because it's there and it's free. So now we get to my final message directly to behavior, for me to behavior. are we done? Are we finished? Are we finally done with this whole like blanket buff the survivor role because people are DCing en masse, people are quitting, the new players think the game sucks? Are we done with the blanket buff solution to this? Because I think after this year of experimentation that we have learned very thoroughly that blanket buffing the other side does not solve any of these issues. I think it's very clear, the writing is on the wall, that this didn't cause any sort of meaningful growth or gain. I think personally in my matches, people are still DCing in mass, and Survivor is arguably the strongest it has been in recent memory. It does not solve the problem. The people that like are quitting in mass, like the people that are like DCing for like the slightest inconvenience, it's not because they're not strong, it's just because that's just what they do. I don't think any sort of blanket buffs will solve that situation. And every single time you have tried in the past year to either do a blanket buff to like healing or to anti-tunnel or anti-slug, it's not solved the situation. It's not solved the problem of people quitting, people DCing for no reason. Like, it's not fixing anything. It's not a good solution to the problem that you have. And this is like the watered down version of what you guys wanted to try and wanted to have happen. I've had people that are not supposed to tell me things who have told me what you have tried in the background, and in the sake of keeping those people safe and, not in trouble for breaking, their secrecy. You have tried much crazier stuff in the background in the past like year and some change that I am so glad that we didn't have a hidden PDB, that we didn't have to try, because holy moly. So I really, really pray that you have learned your lesson, that just blanket buffing one side, trying to just super autopilot and make the game super casual is not the solution to the problem. It's that you can't help the people that quit at the slice and convenience, because they will do that regardless, and the new players need a new, better player experience. That way they can actually what the game is really like, face players that are of their akin to their actual skill level, so they can stick with the game longer. I think if there is a prime lesson to be learned here at the end of all this wild stuff that's been happening in the year of 2025, is that behavior, and this isn't like being mean or anything, but like behavior has shown that they do not have a good idea of how to appease their casual crowd and their core audience at the same time. I think that's like kind of the main issue that's at the core of all of this. And it really dawned on me, both through Scott John's video that they made talking about how like the reason behavior is putting through a lot of this stuff is just because, well, we're, realistically, the core audience does not make up a vast, majority of the people that come and go in and out of DBD. But also the fact that 2v8 got extended again, despite the core audience despising it and not wanting it to come back. And it's because on their end, they had a 70% vote that it should stay in the game. So I think what's realistically happening, in addition to like the whole, like, how do we keep new players playing the game thing, is that behavior is having a hard time making changes that are good for the casual audience, but also appease the general audience that play all the time. I think they are having issues making changes that appease both. And I think if there's any like takeaway that I want behavior to have going away from this very disastrous year, is that you should do both. You should try to find a solution that makes both happy. No matter what issue arises, you should take the general core audience into account, but also the casuals that come in and out. Because lately this year, it's just been casual audience, like people that like are fleeting, who don't play the game regularly. Those are the people that you have prioritized through most of this year, and it has resulted in changes that make the core audience literally quit. Like I've been saying, like, you have seen how many people have been quitting in my comment section in the past couple of videos, possibly this one, of people quitting in mass. Like, you have really alienated your core audience big time this year, and you've kind of been sacrificing us for the casual audience, which, doesn't feel good, right? So I think in the future, moving forward, we have to make more conscious decision to appease both, because I like the idea of what you did with, you're like, okay, you're trying to make the blood point bonuses better, 4-4-V1, since the queue times are going to be longer, and trying to, like, I would like to see more of that. It's too fresh to say if it's really working out, and also they said they're going to continue to monitor and adjust it, but like stuff like that, just in the theory, in your approach, that like, hey, this is mostly for the casual audience, but for our core audience, we're giving you this too. And then vice versa, right? Like, this is mostly for our core audience, but casual players can have this. That is a good approach, and I hope you take that as your main methodology for approaching problems in the future. Yeah, that was a heck of a dev stream. I do think it is a step back in the right direction. But like I've said, we've been in plenty of situations like this before where behavior goes, we hear you, we're going to change things. And then they just kind of relapse immediately. So very cautiously, we move forward in a positive direction. If you guys still want to keep letting them know down in the comments below why you quit, what your major beef with them is, and why you are not enjoying the game right now, please do so they can have that feedback, since through their own words, they want to see that feedback. They want to see why you are not enjoying the game right now, so that can inform the devs to do the right thing. So go ahead and leave that down there below if you would like to do so. But on that, I think that's going to be it for today's video, friends. Thank you so much for watching and spending time with me today, and I appreciate you so much. If you appreciated this video, make sure you like and subscribe, because that's how I know I'm doing a good job on the back end. Other than that, that's going to be it. So hopefully this video made your day a little bit better today. If it didn't, I'll try to do so again in the next video. If I don't see you there, I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.